bandages covering my new blackening claw marks pull along my cheek, jaw, and neck. Back when I was just a runaway, flitting from one city to another, my prettiness had been a hindrance because it garnered me too much unwanted attention. My face presented endless issues back then. But after a few more swung fights, being pretty wouldn't be much of a concern anymore. My attention slipped back to Luke, who was still staring at me in the mirror. He said, "We're here." Sonny shivered against me, and Hatter lifted his arm along the back of the seat, his coat skimming against my hair, and put his hand on the back of Sonny's neck. He gave her a little reassuring squeeze before moving away as Luke and the driver opened their doors. I felt the heat from Sonny's blush as Hatter got out of the vehicle. "Do you need me to open the door, or can you manage?" I asked, elbowing her ribs like everything was normal between us. Sure thing. I am." She fumbled with the handle and practically fell out of the car. When I joined her outside, she pushed up her glasses and we looked around. The Barrow Base, the front lines of our secret war, Luke's childhood home. The place looked seriously fucked. I instantly hated it. The building could only be called a concrete fortress. It rose 4 stories into the swirling snow. Additions jutted out here and there, new added onto old as more room was needed. Instead of landscaping, spikes jabbed out from the ground around the base to keep the swungs from digging down into earth. Bright floodlights beamed down from every corner of the roof. More heavy iron spikes and razor wire guarded the roof. Between the blinding spotlights, I caught sight of guards circling up top, their forms disappearing behind large gunners. There were no windows, and the only door into the base was a solid corroded plate of steel. A jagged set of claw marks streaked down the center of the steel, from top to bottom, like a warning. Countless more claw marks were scratched into the concrete as far as I could see. Some went as high as the 2nd story, where swungs must have leaped up during an attack. Here and there, rusty patches marred the beige concrete walls. Blood. "How quaint," I said under my breath. Luke shot me glare, which I happily returned. "We're seriously staying here during break?" Sonny asked in a quaking voice. Her eyes lingered on the massive machine parked close to the front door. A snowcat, but it looked like a monster with steel teeth and claws. Just then, the front door began to rumble and move, sliding to the side and allowing only the slightest room for us to enter. "Welcome to my home." The click of guns aiming down at us punctuated Luke's words. If swungs rushed the door from the shadows, we were all going down. "Ha ha," I said under my breath, unwilling to spend another moment exposed outside. The others walked on ahead of me. I took a few more deep gulps of fresh air before I had to follow them inside. I slid through the narrow gap of the front door, which instantly started rumbling shut behind me. Our group stood in a sterile, narrow security room with another door in front of us similar to the one at our backs. In the tiny room's corners, cameras swiveled and whirred, registering our faces and making my skin crawl. We hung our winter jackets, gloves, and scarves on the metal prongs lining the concrete walls. Only when the front door closed fully did the second one unlock. Luke shouldered it open, and we stepped into the real Barrow Base. I blinked in surprise. I'd fallen down a rabbit hole and stepped into the interior of a Gothic mansion. The walls were paneled in rich cherry and adorned with hundreds of antique light fixtures with slender Edison bulbs blazing inside like tiny fireflies. My attention swept to the back of the entry, where a sprawling, curved staircase led up to the 2nd floor, and a huge series of stained glass windows covered the entire back wall of the base, the design mimicking an abstract sunrise. They weren't real windows, but the artificial light behind them looked realistic enough to bring life to the vivid array of colors splashing down the stairs and across the floor in a kaleidoscope of pigmented reflections.